Noorsign Books presents Ramadan Miracles, Stories of Faith Found in the Ordinary. The Bread Stamp, Part 3, The Night of Letters. In the final 10 nights of Ramadan, Elif's hands fail her, and her frustration pushes Yasmin away. But a child's simple truth about broken things will force Elif to surrender her perfection and discover that the most beautiful blessings are often carved by imperfect hands. The last 10 nights of Ramadan felt heavy, like walking through water. Sleep came in snatches. The pre-dawn drummer's beat wandered the alleys, calling for suhoor. Elif was already awake most nights, lying in the dark with verses drifting through her mind. And your Lord has not forsaken you, nor does he hate you. You have a strange way of showing it, she would think, then flinch at her own boldness. On the 23rd night, her hands betrayed her again. A sharp cramp seized the base of her thumb as she leaned over the stamp. Pain shot up her arm. Ya Rab, she hissed, dropping the chisel. Your hand, Yasmin said, alarmed. It is only old, Elif grunted, like the rest of me. You stop, I do. Tell me, Yasmin insisted. These letters, Elif looked at the blank band around the rosette. They're not petals. If we ruin them, she trailed off. Yasmin met her eyes. You talk, I cut, she said. The phrase landed differently this time. Not as a child's offer, almost as a test. Sand, Elif said shortly. We'll see. The day went badly. Her fingers refused the fine movements the script demanded. Twice she slipped on practice boards, lines jerking. Frustration knotted her shoulders. Khan's words replayed. What are you doing? The next afternoon, hunger sharpening her nerves, she snapped. Yasmin was carving a small decorative curve near the bird. The gouge wobbled, leaving a tiny hesitation in the line. No, Elif barked. Not like that. She snatched the tool away. You're rushing. Your hands are too small. Maybe this was a mistake. Color drained from Yasmin's face. Her fingers curled into fists. I can, she began. You can what? Elif shot back. Turn back time? Make my hands young? Yapamasin. You can't. Go. I need to be alone. Silence. Then the tiniest sniff.
Elif looked up. Tears trembled at the edge of Yasmin's lashes. She blinked hard. One escaped, tracking down her cheek. I go, Yasmin said, voice flat. It's not important. I know. You have real life. I am guest. The word stung. Yavrum. Elif's anger melted into horror. Don't. Yasmin swiped the tear away, as if erasing evidence. My Baba say, she began slowly, Turkish fracturing under emotion. Allah not throw away broken things. Ma yarmi al-maksur. Elif's rusty Arabic translated, he does not throw away what is broken. He make, like tile, Yasmin continued, hands sketching small shapes, many small, together, pretty. Mosaic, Elif supplied, throat tight. Yes, he say, we all pieces. The image slipped past her defenses, the god of mosaics gathering shards. Something hardened around her heart, cracked. She reached out again, slower. This time, Yasmin didn't step back. Elif's hands came to rest on her thin shoulders, then pulled her in. For the first time since Mehmet's funeral, Elif embraced someone fully. At first, Yasmin's body stayed stiff, programmed for impact. Then old memory returned. She softened, forehead against Elif's collarbone, fingers gripping her cardigan. Elif's tears came in a rush, not pretty, restrained ones, deep sobs dragged up from years of silence. She cried for the morning she had said, not today, for the sight of Mehmet on mosque steps, for 2 Ramadans spent angry with her Lord, for a child whose father might be under rubble or waves, for her own arrogance about perfection. Yasmin cried too, quietly, used to keeping grief small. 2 broken pieces, pressed together in a dusty workshop. It was, without words, the realest dua either had made. When the storm eased, Elif pulled back, hands still on Yasmin's shoulders. "I was wrong," she said simply, "about many things. If you still come, I want to keep trying. With you, even if the letters are ugly, even if we only make tiles." Yasmin's smile wobbled, but held. "Okay," she whispered, and something unseen in the room shifted. The 27th night came soft and bright. Lights strung between minarets spelled out, "Seek forgiveness," against the black sky. Taraweeh recitations poured from mosques in layered waves. In the workshop, 2 lamps burned over the bench. They had spent 3 days carving shallow guides for the letters. Tonight was for commitment, the deep, final cuts of Barakallahu lakum. They broke their fast on dates, soup, bread, prayed Maghrib on the small rug. In sujud, Elif's forehead pressed the mat. Her dua was simple. "Help me," she whispered. "Help me finish what I once refused." After prayer, she traced the phrase lightly onto the woodband with a pencil. The thuluth curves leaned to follow the circle. The blessing wrapped the rosette like a whispered dua around a heart. She picked up the smallest chisel and attempted the first stroke of the ba. Her hand shook. The blade slipped. A jagged notch bit into the line. "Ya Allah," she muttered, sanded, redrew, tried again. By the 3rd slip, the wood around the ba looked swollen and thin. "Elif anne," Yasmin said quietly. "Don't," she warned. "You talk, I cut," Yasmin repeated. "No push, just offer." "This is Al-Qur'an," Elif protested, fear rising. "This is blessing. It must be right." "If you no let anyone," Yasmin said slowly, groping for words, "they stay on paper. Only you see. Only you eat." She touched her own chest. "If you let me, maybe, ugly, but many, eat blessing." The logic pierced like a clean chisel. The best of people are those most beneficial to people. Her perfection had benefited who these last years? No one. In her mind's eye, she saw Mehmet at the table. "I'm asking you to try." Maybe this, now, was the real trying, letting her own control go, trusting that Allah accepted crooked carvings too. She exhaled slowly. "Fine," she said. The word felt like a door opening. "We will do it your way. I talk, you cut. Exactly as I say. Or I throw this in the Bosphorus and become a fisherman." Yasmin grinned. "Okay." They shifted. Yasmin sat at the bench, chisel in hand. Elif pulled her chair close, shoulder almost touching the girl's. She placed her hands lightly over Yasmin's, not to force, just to steady. "The ba," she began, her voice taking on the old teaching cadence. "Its bowl is 1 dot deep, 3 dots wide. Here the dots are bending. Think of bending to pick bread." Yasmin smiled. "Dots bend," she repeated, and set the chisel where Elif pointed. "Angle it, not straight up. Good. Now push from your shoulder, not fingers. Follow the grain. Feel it wanting to go that way, not this." The blade moved. A thin curl lifted. The line beneath was clean. "Gazelle," Elif whispered. "Good. Now the tail, long. It pulls us to the ra." They moved letter by letter. For each curve, Elif gave an image. The ra's arch like a bird's back. The ha's notch like a sigh. The looping lam kaf like 2 friends leaning into each other. When Yasmin's grip tensed, Elif whispered, "Breathe." When Elif's words tangled, Yasmin paused, waiting. Outside, worshippers bowed and rose. Inside, a different kind of worship, carved wood. Near midnight, fatigue made the blade wobble on a connecting stroke. A tiny stutter appeared in the line. Yasmin reached for the sandpaper. "Leave it," Elif said, stopping her. "We're human. One nervous lum won't stop the dough rising." Later, during a brief suhoor, bread, water, a bruised apple, they paused. "Make dua," Elif said. "They say tonight every sincere one is heard." Yasmin closed her eyes. "Ya Allah, open our hands," she whispered, "and our eyes." Elif's turn came. She didn't use it in eloquence. "Forgive me," she said softly, "for saying no when I should have said yes, for thinking you only use perfect hands." By the time dawn's gray seeped into the window, the phrase was complete. Barakallahu lakum circled the rosette in carved relief. The letters were not flawless. Slight hesitations, a too deep bite here, a shallower curve there. But they held. Yasmin slumped back, dark circles under her eyes. "We did," she murmured. Elif sat very still, hands in her lap, heart hammering. "It is done," she said. "Not perfect, but done." On the band, the blessing walked its circle. In the corner, the tiny bird watched with its single dot eye, as if amused to be part of theology. For the first time in 2 years, the weight in her chest felt lighter. The next morning, she made bread. Not metaphorical bread. Flour, water, yeast, salt. "Today, we see if this thing works," Elif told Yasmin. In the back room, she poured flour into a bowl, made a well, crumbled yeast, sprinkled salt. Warm water. Her hands sank into the mixture, turning dry to sticky, sticky to smooth. "You never made bread?" she asked. "In Aleppo, Baba," Yasmin said. "Here we buy, or mosque give." "Today we make," Elif said. "This is a message system." "Message system?" Yasmin echoed. "You'll see." They kneaded until the dough was soft and elastic, covered it, waited. The lump swelled slowly under the cloth. They punched it down, divided it, shaped round discs. Elif floured a board, set one disc in the center. "Do you want to press it?" she asked. "Me? Who else?" She placed the oiled stamp in Yasmin's hands. "Say, Bismillah." Yasmin whispered it, small but sure. She centered the stamp over the dough, fingers spread on the handle. "Firm," Elif said. "Bread is forgiving." Yasmin pressed. When she lifted the stamp, they both leaned in. The rosette, the letters, the bird, each line clear in the pale dough. A laugh escaped Elif, half disbelieving. They stamped all the discs, set them into the oven in batches. As they baked, the workshop filled with a smell so rich Elif felt dizzy. Warm yeast, browning crust, faint walnut and oil. The first loaf emerged, golden. The pattern on top had bloomed, the cuts deepening in the heat. "It looks like old bread in books," Yasmin breathed, "but new." Elif tore it open. Steam curled out. She handed half to Yasmin. They sat on the floor, backs against the bench, bread burning their fingers. The crust crunched. The inside was chewy, imperfect, alive. It tasted of flour, water, wood, patience, regret, hope. They ate in silence. No speech could improve the prayer of that simple act. Eid al-Fitr arrived like a long-held breath released. The morning of Eid al-Fitr, after Salah, the workshop became a bakery. They had woken before Fajr, dough mixed, kneaded, left to rise while the city prayed. Now discs waited in tidy rows. Yasmin handled the stamp, moving quickly, pressing blessing into each future loaf. Elif tended the oven, sliding trays in and out, reading its moods. By mid-morning, cooling bread covered every flat surface. Round loaves, each stamped, rosette, band of Barakallahu lakum, small bird. Elif packed them into crates and baskets, padding with clean towels. "Where we go?" Yasmin asked, breathless. "To your building," Elif said. "Unless you're shy now." "Never," Yasmin grinned. On the tram to Tarlabaşı, the smell of warm bread wrapped them. A toddler across the aisle pointed, eyes huge. His mother smiled apologetically. "We just ate, Abla." "There is always room for blessed bread," Elif said. She tore off a piece and handed it to the boy. He bit, eyes rolling in delight. Up the dim stairwell of Yasmin's building, door by door, they knocked. At the first, a Kurdish father from Diyarbakir opened, suspicion written in his thick mustache, then softening at the sight of Yasmin. "Bayraminiz Mubarak olsun," Elif said, holding out a loaf. He took it with both hands. His thumb found the carved phrase. "Barakallahu lakum," he read, the words heavy in his accent. "Allah bless you also, Abla." Next door, an Iraqi grandmother, housecoat faded, socks fluffy, smelled of cardamom. When she saw the bread, her eyes filled. "My mother had like this," she said in Arabic, "in Basra for Eid al-Fitr." She kissed the loaf, then held it to her chest. "Allah yabarik fikum." Children gathered, drawn by smell and curiosity. A Turkish woman with freshly dyed apricot hair peered out. "What's this?" she demanded. "Bread," Yasmin said grandly, "from my Anne's atelier." The word Anne from her mouth did something strange to Elif's ribs. It landed softly and stayed. At Khalil's door, Elif simply held out a loaf. The older woman took it slowly. Her fingers traced the rosette, paused on the bird. Her lips moved around the carved words. "Jazakillahu khairan," she said again. Then, in careful Turkish, "Come in, sit." They shared bread and thin tea in her small flat. The walls carried both the Quran and a young soldier's photo. "My mother used to say," Khalil remarked, dipping bread in oil, "some bread you eat and forget. Some bread you remember when you are dying." She took a bite. "This is the second kind." Later, back on the tram to Fatih, her phone buzzed. Ken. "Where are you?" he asked over fairy noise. "On my way to the workshop." "We're already there," he said. "Defne, Layla, half a tray of baklava." Elif found them on the floor. Ken and little Layla building towers from wood scraps. Defne arranging sweets. The workshop full of life. "Barakallahu lakum, Anna," Defne said, kissing her hand. "Barakallahu lakum," Elif returned, eyes drifting to the shelf where the bread stamp rested, flour still in its grooves. "I heard rumors of bread," Can said, half teasing, half probing. "There was," Elif said. "There is." She nodded at a few saved loaves. "Hey," Yasmin protested, sitting at the bench with a reed pen clenched awkwardly. Can frowned, intrigued. "What's this?" "Calligraphy," Elif said. She stood behind Yasmin, adjusted her grip. Her father taught her to carve. Someone must teach her to write. On the paper, giant, wobbly alifs marched like drunk soldiers. "They look like soldiers after Ramadan," Yasmin observed solemnly. "Tired, falling." "They'll straighten," Elif said. "Everything can. Or it breaks, and Allah makes mosaics." She glanced at Yasmin. They shared a tiny smile. Can watched, something easing in his face. I was harsh, he said suddenly. The other night. I worry. It comes out badly. You are my son, Elif replied dryly. Then softer, I understand. He picked up a leftover stamped loaf, thumb tracing Barakallahu lakum. I'll tell the developer the workshop is under restoration, he said quietly. Elif's, Mehmet's, and Yasmin's restoration, she corrected in her mind. Aloud she said, Bizim workshop, ours. Her hand rested briefly on Yasmin's shoulder. Bizim, Can echoed. Then I'd better fix the door before winter. Architects are occasionally useful, Elif said. Layla held up a wood curl. Bread, she proclaimed. No, ashkam, Defna laughed, rescuing it. Wood. In this house, Elif murmured to Yasmin, sometimes they're the same. The girl's mouth twitched. Afternoon light slanted in, turning dust into glitter. Defna poured tea, the thin music of glass on glass filling the room. Ken helped Layla knock down another tower. At the door, Khalil appeared briefly, delivering real Syrian dates and a blessing before disappearing back into Tarlabashi's maze. At the bench, Yasmin drew another alif. It was a little straighter. See, Elif said softly, ease the pressure here, or it bleeds. Letters, wood, children, widows. Too much pressure, they crack. Too little, they never change. Allah makes mosaics, Yasmin replied, matter of fact. That too. Elif's gaze drifted to the bread stamp. The carved phrase circled calmly. The bird seemed ready to hop off, eternally. She thought of the note in Mehmet's hand. She'll draw it when she's ready. She hadn't been ready when he asked. But here, in a workshop that smelled of sawdust, ink, and fresh bread, with her son fixing plans instead of selling walls, her granddaughter shrieking over wood scraps, a Syrian child learning to make letters stand, and a stamp pressing blessings into dough for strangers, she felt at last ready for this version of obedience. Not clean, not perfect, but real. Some bread, she thought, watching Yasmin's hand steady, is just bread, and some bread is a prayer you can hold.
You've been listening to Ramadan Miracles, a Noorsign Books original. Elif's journey ends not with a perfect stamp, but with shared bread and a mended heart. Sometimes the greatest act of faith isn't creating something flawless, but offering what you have, even when it's broken, and trusting it will be enough. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next miracle. Visit noorsignbooks.com to join our community and get the full collection. Jazakallah Khairan.